accidentally turned
Hell.
Steam off.
Excuse me?
I turned it back on. I fixed it.
Oh. Hello, everybody. My name is Mike, also known as Win 5, Get 1 Free. What an interesting start we have had today. And welcome to another episode of Projekt Severovo. So, just to catch everybody around, or catch everybody up, already my brain is melting. I'm a little bit sick, by the way, if anybody is wondering, hey, why is he way less on the ball than usual? That's why. So, where we last left off, everybody had just gotten out of probably the most tense surgical experience of their life, which ended up with one person dead and another person clinging to a stovepipe. But the evening went past. And all of you, it was about sundown, and it was getting cold. About at the end of this, where all of you were gathered up after this incident. So, what is the plan here? Are you all going to go to bed at this point? That might be good for one of your guys' sanity. Or are you going to explore the town some more? What are you going to do?
Hey, don't talk about my sanity like that.
Yeah, I think it is time for us to go to Betty Bye Junction.
Is it nap time?
I think it's nap time.
I think it's nap time too.
Good Lord. All right. So you all walk your way back to Corner Place. And as you cross into this street, you see something that is a little bit strange. Not too strange, mind you, but out of the ordinary. You see Raphael Pavlovich laying down in the middle of the street, like pretty much right in front of your house.
Yeah.
Comrade, what are you doing? It's cold. You'll catch cold and die.
Go up and like kick him in the side, see if he's awake.
You go up to Raphael and you kick him in the side, and he just like doesn't open his eyes.
Let's pull him inside. You,
All right.
Krukov, get his legs. I will get his arms.
Hi.
Okay, you drag him inside. He's breathing, but very shallowly.
Does he feel like hypothermic?
He's clammy, but hot. So, like, very sweaty, and, like, if you feel just his skin, it's cold, but if you actually press on his forehead, it's, like, burning hot.
Ooh,
He's
so
feverish.
Fever.
Yes.
Okay, time to use first aid and get our friend killed. Fuck.
Well, you do have luck.
Yeah, you could spend what remaining luck you have from last session, or you could push the roll.
What would happen if I pushed the roll?
If you push the roll, you would harm him in some way.
Hold on. This is a long shot, but let's try it.
Nope.
I have 5 luck, though, so we could both succeed and do double good.
True.
Is
What?
that how that works?
You could both succeed. Holy
Holy
shit!
shit!
Yeah, you both are kind of crowding around him and kind of like, like, oh, quick, get bandages. Oh, no, wait, he doesn't need bandages. Quick, like, maybe we have some acetaminophen. And then Krikov just walks up and, like, immediately, like, pours some water on his forehead, and his eyes shoot open. And he just immediately says, they're here, and they're gone. Where did he go? Where did he go?
Hold on. Who is where is here?
He, like, is looking around the room frantically, and, like, unless one of you are restraining him, he, like, leaps to his feet and is just, like stands in a way that's like, oh, fuck. Like, he's panicking and, like, probably gonna run soon.
You
Oh,
got some weird background
yeah,
noise going on.
I'll try and talk him down from that.
Okay, okay.
Comrade, listen. You are in no good shape to go running off into the freezing cold.
He says the cold doesn't matter. The cold, it's not even a thing. There isn't any cold. There isn't any here. There isn't any you.
I
he
slap him.
Yeah,
You
I was just... I'm pulling
Yeah.
back to slap him, you slap him, like, good job.
Yeah, he like turns his face and then he turns towards you with this absolutely eerie look in his eyes, Anatoly, and he says, "This is no place for errant actors," and then collapses.
Alright, so it looks like he's spending the night here.
Do we trust him? After all, remember what we found at the jailhouse.
I remember.
Capitalist spy.
Unfortunately, he is, well, useful at the moment. He has access to people and to, well, equipment we do not.
True. I do not like it, but you are correct. He's useful to us in this moment.
Once he is no longer useful, well,
We will
that
give
is...
him Russian welcome.
to Gulag, then.
He just like nods down at his gun. He's like, no, from Russia with love.
Avanad kind of looks on, and you just see like a slight tinge of like, ugh, like on his face, like he was not happy with that interaction.
Yeah. He cannot like it, but
He cannot like it, but he's also my subordinate, so get bent.
True.
I was gonna say, there's no place to be arguing with the field lieutenant.
Yeah.
Especially not the
very
KGB field lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Both
gonna say,
sides
I believe field is the proper term for someone who's been, promoted in the field either through, death of a superior,
See, I always
but
thought it
has
was
not
just acting.
officially.
Mm.
Or acting, I think that one works too.
Both of them work.
Saying like I'm acting commander of this Odon.
Mm-hmm,
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. So you have one Raphael Pavlovich unconscious on your floor of your tiny little hovel.
Well, let's get him somewhere where he can warm up, and we can like dry off some of the sweat so he doesn't freeze from that.
Right. Okay. So you guys get you probably put him next to the furnace. Avanad kind of grumbles that that's his spot because he usually curls up around it, but doesn't protest too much. Yeah. So how you gonna do watches?
Oh man, I had my thing muted. I was gonna say, other than that, you want to share spot with him? Be my guest.
You want to share spot with Spy?
Yeah, right. But Avanad would just go, "I think I can take wall by door. I guess I could use some cold while I sleep. Might do my immune system good."
True,
Or I
we
could
do
give
not
you
know.
pneumonia.
We do not know if he is infectious. If ever he has.
Until today, I would have said that, crazy is not infectious. But now I
Avanad
feel
just
we are
nods.
all, but now I feel we are all diseased.
Yeah. He just nods. So yeah, how you guys gonna do watches?
I'll take first watch.
Yeah, I'll take second watch.
That leaves me covering up the rear, I guess.
All right.
Oh.
Everybody with watches, make me a listen and a notice hidden or spot hidden or whatever it's called.
I don't know why you two were laughing. Didn't you know that I like rears?
You're in a hut with 5 other Russian men talking about how much you like rears. I would,
Okay, that one I will use
I-
whatever is left of my luck for the night to
Okay.
push, or
Sounds good.
not push, but to succeed.
Sure.
Rah, big booty.
And then spot hidden. You said.
Yes.
My
Hey.
God, what is it with me today? I'm failing. Am I able to push that one?
Yeah, you could push it. Pushing it would be at a risk of. You know what? I'll tell you what the risk is after you push it.
Oof.
By the way, Mike, I stand by what I said.
I respect it.
Trying to decide if pushing it for not knowing what. Yes.
Hey, nice. Okay. So, Anatoly, your first watch, right?
Yep.
Okay. First watch goes by, and you are sitting there. Everyone is fallen asleep, and they're doing the same thing that they normally do when they've been sleeping in this town. Eerily quiet, basically barely breathing, right? Which, as I've said before, pretty unusual for Russian soldiers.
Yes.
But yeah, they're kind of they're doing that. And you're looking out the window, and you notice periodically it seems that someone rounds the corner over here, stops just short of like the shine of the street lamp that's there, stares at your place for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then makes a loop like this, essentially. And does this pretty much your whole watch.
I was gonna say I could fire a warning shot into their head.
I mean, you could if you want. They seem to do it probably once every 30 minutes or so.
Okay. Next time I know they're planning on coming by,
Mm-hmm.
I poke the gun barrel out the door in their direction.
Okay. You poke the gun barrel out, and they stand there. They stare. And then instead of making the loop, they go off this way, and you lose track of them.
Better alert next watch for that.
Yeah. And speaking of next watch, that would be motherfucking Olzeg Mal Gena Vich bitch. Oh,
And I did fail the listen, but I got the spot.
Well, I was gonna say, you may just, Commander, we're being watched. I managed to, well, I gave them the impression that it was not welcome.
It isn't.
They
welcome.
left. They left that way, though.
Hmm.
I maybe should have shot them, but Mosin is not so good at that range.
Nor should we be wasting what precious ammo we have.
Well, if it's to kill American spy, maybe.
Yes, but we cannot be certain. Besides, we have already seen there are things here worse than even Germans.
Now, at this point, we were actually allied with Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
We
they're
had
also
made
fascists, and fascism is considered like abominable to communism.
This is true.
This is true. There would be many opinionated people about Germans in the USSR at this point.
Also,
Oh, absolutely.
we're both World War I veterans.
Yeah.
This is very true.
Yeah.
Yes, but remember, supposedly they are our friends now.
Yeah.
Wonder how long that lasts.
Yes, he nods. He's like, you can suppose for as long as you want. That does not change facts.
Well, opinions then.
Da.
Alright, have a good watch.
Hopefully, very uneventful watch.
If he comes back, put one in me. Put one in him for me, please.
Put one in me for him.
If he comes back, I just want to already be dead.
Can do, buddy.
I can't. You want me to get a head start on that?
Yeah. All right. Excellent. So, it comes to your watch. And for your watch, you again hear the men doing their real shallow, quiet breathing. And actually, you hear stirring. And you see Raphael Pavlovich. He kind of sits up, rubs his head for a little bit, and looks like he's about to say something, and then looks around the room and realizes that there are people sleeping, and kind of just waves himself off and starts unscrewing the cap on his flask.
I give him like a little up nod of like, glad you're finally awake. You were trying to
Yeah.
cross the border.
Yeah, Raphael notices that you're awake and kind of scoots towards you and sits down and offers you his flask after taking a drink and says,
I'll accept it just to be friendly.
sure. You take a drink, and it is classic good old-fashioned Russian whiskey. Or not whiskey, vodka. Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he says, it's a cold night, isn't it?
Could have been far worse for you if we had left you out in the cold.
Kind of looks at you and says, did I go a-wandering again? Must have had too much of this, and taps his flask on his head.
I'm not sure if it was that. You were feverish. You were spouting some nonsense about actors and there being no cold and no thing.
He kind of furrows his brow for a second, looks out the window silently, and then turns towards you and says, I'm sorry if I caused you any alarm or anything along those lines. It was not... I can guarantee you it was not my intention.
I don't think any of us were frightened. We were more perplexed.
He shrugs and says, well, whatever it is, I guess I must have had some sort of nightmare or something. I just remember last night around dinner bell and then get a few extra drinks from the barman because something happened. He said that there was some sort of tragedy and drinks were on him and, well, then I'm here, I guess.
Was certainly strange to come from. Well, did you hear about what happened at the infirmary?
He kind of looks at you with one of those looks of just like, no, can't say I did.
Perhaps it's for the best. Things happened there that defy a rational explanation.
Oh, I just realized my webcam was not open. He says, fair enough. Why go looking for ghosts when ghosts will find you eventually? And takes another drink.
Ghosts would be too easy an explanation for this.
Makes sense. Well, I don't know what's going on, but as long as you're offering a roof over my head for the night, I won't umbrage you to say no.
We could not leave a good comrade laying face down in the snow, inviting his own death, no?
He shoots you a big toothy grin, and you see the golden tooth that he has, and that sort of thing, kind of gleam in the moonlight. He says, falling asleep in snow, generally not good for health. And shrugs and stretches and says, well, don't worry, I will be out of your hair in morning. And he pulls like a half-filled bottle of clear liquid out and sets it on the table, and he says, consider this rent for the night. And smiles and walks back over to the radiator.
Yeah, I nod approvingly and keep looking out that one spot that Anatoly told me to keep an eye on.
Sure. And for the rest of the night, you don't really find anything that stirs too much out there. You do see what looks like an alley cat sit under that light and just kind of watch your place for a while. But then it seems to get distracted by the noise of like a garbage can rustling and darts off in a different direction.
Those chickens are up to something.
I don't want to be a pie. But yeah, the rest of your watch goes uneventful. Oh, pardon me.
Good. Then I will go and wake up Big Boy Krukov.
Is it my turn?
Krukov, wake up. Be useful for once. Obviously giving you like that military, I'm the leader, I have to give everyone shit kind of thing.
Hey, boys, what did you do?
It's called asserting dominance, and he has to do it.
Yeah, I have to
54 times a
T-pose.
day. Yeah.
I like that.
Well,
I
yeah,
like that.
just think about it. We're a bunch of Marines, and we ran out of crayons.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna wake up at the end. I'm gonna wake up one of these days with a K-bar in my stomach, aren't I? I'm gonna piss off Chesty, and that'll be the end of me.
Yep.
I
Just
just
don't claim your name is Jody.
Ha ha. Oh, that's not good.
whoa.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah. Krukov, make your giant ass worth something and go up. And I'll point out the same place, that corner, and be like, pay close attention there. We apparently have a peeping Pitre.
Yeah.
Pitor.
Yeah, peeping Pitor. I like that.
With a Y.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking about that, but yes.
Yeah. All right. So, Krikov, your watch goes by fairly uneventfully. You watch that spot, and maybe at some point you see that like a snowbank starts to form under that light, and almost for a fleeting second, it looks like somebody is like walks under that light, but on closer inspection, couldn't have been. It must just be the snow playing tricks on your eyes. But
Yeah.
Must just be the wind.
yeah, but 2 hours before everyone is supposed to wake up, right? So this would be about an hour and a half, probably, Olzeg, after you finish your watch.
Mm-hmm.
You all hear great big church bells going. Just one, and it seems that the bell is completely just warped. You just hear this weird clanging noise that hangs on the air as if it had fingertips on a ledge. Just like going through. It's almost a mixture between a church bell and a gong. And maybe even like just sheet metal, very foreboding, but it wakes all of you up.
Very foreboding, very Italian.
Yeah, right. No, that's spaghetti. But
Pizza, pasta, bring it in a box.
but yeah. You all hear this big church bell, and Krikov, you, because you're looking out the window, notice as soon as this church bell starts going off, you see probably about 20 people on and off coming through this way towards the church, kind of like from all different angles. One of them, in fact, like walks in front of your building as if they're paying no heed to it, right? And the one thing that you notice about all of them is they're all wearing these very immaculate blue robes with gold trimming.
It's the ogreites.
It's them ogre boys.
And you do actually recognize both Sunsika and her father in this group.
What was the great split in this church? Was it between the ogreites and the Shrekians?
Ha ha ha. No, it would have been between the Ogreites and the actual Orthodox Church.
So the Shrekians.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Bad
yeah,
Shulky's funny.
Ha ha ha.
Them
He's
motherfuckers don't like that donkey, I tell you what.
But yeah, so you see this happening. And all of you at this point are awake by this clanging. Avenant, for his part, just... Oh, I want to not be here.
You and me both, comrade, but we have job to do.
Yeah.
Yes, we should probably be keeping an eye out for whatever is going on here.
I can give you two guesses. Church service or cult?
One and the same.
Well, maybe.
And you guys notice, yes, it is in fact Sunday.
Huh.
Yeah, you've been here for, what is it, 3 whole days now?
Too fucking long.
Yeah.
Too long for me, buddy.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your plan?
I guess
Die?
we're gonna go to church.
Take me to church.
Yeah,
I would
Avenant,
prefer you to take me to Snurch, but okay.
Hell yeah.
I would prefer for you to take me to Nurks so I can get some good gin.
Yeah, but she's just gonna yell at you.
True, but that's part of the charm of Nurks gin, right?
By the way, I
Oh,
would
she
like
was
to,
a Jin.
given the statement that Gunnar just made, I would like to formally mention that as leader of a snult,
God fucking damn it. I'm going to hit you, Gary, through the internet.
don't worry, a lot of people want to. As soon as you figure out, tell them how.
Oh god. But yeah, you guys all kind of get up, and you notice that somewhere either before or in between the commotion of this bell starting to ring, Raphael has found himself to not be in your company anymore. Slipped out at some point. Yeah, so you all get up and I'm assuming just put on your best pressed and head to church.
Pretty much,
I guess. What? How is it that is said? Ask not for whom the bell tolls.
Yeah, a little flowery for my taste.
I just hope it's not a foreboding of things to come.
Yeah. So you guys get up and you start heading to the church, and you get to the front doors, and you notice somebody. You notice somebody standing at the front of the door. They have what appears to be like a gold or brass, you can't really tell based on how weathered it is, plate that people are putting small objects into. And as you go forward, you notice that there's a ring, some ration cards, and like a necklace, and maybe like some like a jar of like homemade preserves in it.
So very much like a church offering.
Thereabouts, yeah. That's what you can glean from this.
All right.
But yeah, he doesn't try and shake you down or anything. He's in this like blue and gold robe with the hood up, because it's cold as fuck. And these robes actually. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, yeah, you can't shake us down. We're the government. We're here to shake them down.
Yeah, but you notice that like these robes appear to be very well padded. Like they appear to be well insulated.
Makes sense.
The closer you look, you notice that there's like fur lining on the inside, and for some of they're not all uniform necessarily. Some of them have fur lining on the inside, some of them have like quilted padding on the inside, but all of them look very warm and comfy.
Right. That makes sense. You don't want to freeze to death.
True.
What if I wanted to?
Get naked.
Well, yeah, exactly. Don't be a part of church then.
Yeah, church keeps people from freezing to death. It's just a scientific thing.
Yeah, exactly, right? The warmth of God or something like that. But let's see here. There we go. I had to make a note real quick. But yeah, you guys walk in, and let me take you to the church. Let me take you to church.
Snack me to snurch, Charles. Worship.
No! Stop it! But yeah, go ahead and throw yourself on the board, everybody.
What if I threw you at, threw me at myself at your feet?
Snoo you at the snored?
I am.
I'm
going to sanity checks, everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Rocks fall, everyone dies.
Hey,
Really?
I didn't know that was the plan, but I very much like it. It's a very postmodern ending.
Yeah, exactly. Chainsaws throw, everyone dies. But anyway, hey, Kurikov. Hey,
What am I doing again?
put yourself on the board.
The only people who are throwing is us in this match.
The only thing we're throwing are hands.
Sorry, I keep on forgetting that I gotta go to that screen. And it's
Say, do you want to catch these hands?
All right, there we go.
You always do that to me. I'm taller than that.
Okay, fine. There you go.
There we go. That appeases me.
But yeah, you all walk into church, and you see at the very front, is the pastor. He's a great big man, fairly rotund, but that kind of like heavy set where you can tell that there's some muscle there too, like a barrel body. And he's basically shouting. Does anybody here have language Latin?
No.
Okay, well, he's shouting in Latin.
Let's see here.
Which is weird, because if they were based off the orcs... Oh, jeez. The Orsipox. The Orphamomox.
The Snorlax?
Yeah, if they were based off the Church of Snorlax, they'd be speaking in Greek?
Well, the Orthodox Church is developed from Byzantium.
So yeah, Latin.
Yeah.
I thought their modern thing was more Greek.
Nah. But yeah, he's basically shouting in Latin. none of you guys can understand it, but you all can understand, like, oh yes, this is Latin, because, you know, it's a pretty...
Extus
Hey!
poribus
We just...
nimabibus.
I would like to stop the action for just one moment, because everybody, we just got a Twitch Prime subscription from Jiro. Jiro? One of the two. My apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but thank you very much. We are very
appreciate
appreciative.
it.
Hell
Yes.
yeah!
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Who's got weird background noises going on?
It's
Gary.
still. I'm sorry.
It's
So
always
Are you
Jiro
really?
or Jiro, one of the two.
It's always, it's always me.
It's
That's
weird,
why-
yeah. All right.
That's
Yeah.
why my name in other games is Massive Disappointment.
Ah, that makes sense, because, you know, Gary, you are a massive
it's 'cause I'm-
disappointment. It's okay.
Yeah, I am both massive and kind of disappointing, so it works.
But anyway, so you guys are listening to this sermon, and it takes about maybe 30 minutes, this sermon does, and there appears to be a lot of that kind of Catholic performatism sort of thing, where it's like, you know, sometimes people will stand up, sometimes people will sit down, there's call and response, you know. You notice that at some point there is a censer bearer that walks through with like this very sweet smelling, musky, like sweet
like-
musky smelling incense.
Is it like myrrh?
Yeah, kind of like myrrh.
Or is it frankincense?
It seems that it is like your pretty typical like church incense, but like it has some sort of local herbaceousness to it. So you're not quite sure what it is. However, Anatoly, because you're the cook, you do catch just a whiff on your nose of juniper in it.
Well,
So,
it's no
yeah.
good for cooking. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, after do any of you do anything during this 30 minutes?
Just kind of watch.
I was gonna say, I'm people watching.
Yeah.
I want to see the congregation. I want to know what's going on in those heads of theirs.
Yeah. So, because you're people watching, I will let you know. You notice a few people. Of course, you see Sansika and Stepan Furlan.
Can I do psychology?
Yeah, actually.
Just to kind of see. Do they like the sermon? Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Let's see. Yes, they all seem to be very transfixed on this. It's very, like, there is no, like or dislike. It's pretty much consuming everything that they're thinking of at that moment. You know. You notice, by the way, Olzeg, you notice Tomika, Borovoj, the woman from yesterday. She's there. You also notice, let's see, you guys all see Vedran, Vedran Vitalik there, the Black Marketeer. He's there. You see that guy that you were never really introduced to, who was with Tomika, comforting her yesterday. He's right beside her. And let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else that you would know that's here, and it doesn't look like there is. But yeah, so
Is the
there's
doctor
these.
here?
Huh?
The doctor.
No, he is not here.
So I take it this is somewhat of a funeral sermon.
No, actually.
Really?
You don't notice any reverence. And in fact, at the very end of this big Latin sermon, the preacher in his booming voice says, "As we all know, brothers and sisters, there has been very much tragedy that has been striking here before. We have lost many of ours in the last few days and the last weeks and the last months. But we all know that we shall be provided for. And when we are provided for, all shall come back. Winter winds will always break to the flowers of spring and the harvests of summer. This is the cycle of life, and on the razor's edge, leading outwards until the woods, into the mountains, into the plains, and into the snow, we all must take strength and solace in the hearths and the stoves of our own neighbors and of each other. Please take solace in each other. And at this point, he kind of makes like a motion for everyone to stand up, and everyone kind of stands up, and everyone starts hugging each other.
What is this, a fucking hug parade? Yeah, right? Got him.
But yeah, they start hugging each other and going around and greeting and talking to each other, and it feels very social at this point for pretty much anyone in the audience. Let's see. Pretty much for anyone in the audience who has ever been to church service, that time immediately after church service, this feels exactly like it. You know, everyone's going and saying hey to each other and that sort of thing.
Has anybody noticed us?
Yeah, it seems that people have noticed you. No one is coming up to you, except for you see Sunsika come up to you in her robe that is slightly oversized, and she gives each of you a hug and is like, "Oh, if it isn't you four, it is a pleasure to see you. I'm very glad that we get to meet again."
It's good to see you as well. Is this often the tone of service here?
And she looks at you guys kind of quizzically, says, "What do you mean?" And what's the equivalent of insight? Everybody make me an intelligence roll.
How smart am I?
Yeah, right?
Hey.
I'm super smart.
Hey.
Alright.
Does this mean I can improve my intelligence score?
No.
I
No.
wish.
Nice job, Avanad. Avanad's a smart cookie. Okay, yeah, all of you remember this. When she was taking you guys around town, she specifically said she wasn't the religious type. In reference to this church even, and that she didn't know anything about this doctrine.
I see you are here after all.
She kind of cocks her head and goes, "Of course, this is my father always takes me to church."
That is just curious, because I distinctly remember you saying you are not much of a religious person.
She looks at you for a second, and there's like a slight falter on her face. And then she like regains her normal smile and goes, "Oh, of course, but this is more of a community thing. You know, this is just where the town villagers come together."
Swear to fucking God, Mike, I'm this far from pulling that trigger. Swear to fucking God.
Are you gonna take? Are you gonna put one in yourself for that guy? After all?
Swear on me, Mum.
Swear on me, Mum. Also, I'm
no,
like,
that is.
I'm
Of
being
course,
so
of course. You know, quickly changing topics.
Sure.
I missed waking up to the smell of fresh baked bread this morning.
She kind of says, "Oh, I'm so sorry.
I am only teasing. I mean
sorry,
nothing
I'm
of
becoming
it.
Irish.
Yeah, that was very Irish. I'm so sorry. My bad."
No, it's no problem. I am simply teasing.
She says, Right. My apologies."
Not at all. Maybe I'll have to. Maybe I will get a chance to practice some of my cooking skills after all.
She smiles and says, "That is nice. I would love to try some of your cooking." Um, and kind of like as you guys are shooting the shit, kind of friendly, you hear just like a really harsh from Stepan, Sonsika! Uh, and she like turns and looks and is like, Yes? And he like, uh, Stepan just like points at the ground right next to him. And she kind of bashfully looks at you guys and goes, I'm sorry. I have to attend to my father. I will talk to you later." And without even like waiting for you guys to say goodbye, she kind of like quickly walks over there.
Commander, can we talk outside?
I think we must.
Okay. So
Get
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, getting outside. Commander, all of this is wrong.
Yes, but what do we do about it? You're not exactly in the position to go around confronting these people. We are here under their hospitality.
Then I think it is time that we got to the bottom of this. Gesturing towards the mansion.
Indeed. Perhaps now would be the best time.
And as you guys are talking, you hear behind you, "Gentlemen, gentlemen, it is a pleasure to have you sit in with my flock and I." And out of the door, you see this barrel-chested man that I mentioned earlier, that you know only by name as Father Boro Praskovia. He is wearing very humble robes compared to his congregation. They're the same kind, but they seem older and more worn. There's a couple patches in them of mostly similarly colored material. And he has this big smile on his face. He's got a head of hair, and it's all gray. He's got like this big, matty gray mane with a big gray beard, and says, "How do you do on this fine morning?"
Well enough, I suppose. Is this... Well, you must forgive me, but now I'm not familiar with this type of service.
He smiles a big toothy grin, to which you notice his teeth are, when someone's teeth are kind of like out a little bit, kind of almost like a donkey's teeth.
Mm-hmm.
He's got
His
kind of
buck
that
tooth?
kinda, yeah. He's got that kind of smile, and he says, "Oh, of course, of course. Not many people know of the Biodioid church. It is mostly a local flavor." And he kind of smiles at his little play of words,
Indeed, Sonsika was quick to espouse the virtues of your congregation.
He smiles and says, Sansika, she's a nice young lady. She will make someone a fine wife one day."
Does she usually come and visit these sermons?
He says, "Well, most everyone who is a part of this community usually visits the sermons. And may I add, I would love it if you were to visit these sermons. I'm certain that we could find a nice place for you and maybe even find a translation book of some sort."
I'm sure you will understand that I am a little too, how to say, invested in the party.
At that, he kind of gives you a bit of a wry smile and says, Yes. He says, Yes, the party, of course." And just kind of leaves it at that.
Though I do not begrudge anyone for their beliefs, just as I hope they do not begrudge me for mine.
He nods and says, "It's good to see you're not a mindless Okrana. That would certainly be interesting for our interpersonal relationship. And he kind of smiles and kind of claps you on the back.
I take it you have not had pleasant relations with, well, the leadership in Moscow.
He says, "Not many of my ilk have." Um, and he kind of like leans towards you, almost as if he's telling you a secret, and says, I marched I marched with the Bloody Sunday, uh, and I was part of the larger congregation. I know what party lines like to do to people like us, so you'll forgive my initial trepidation.
Now, for historical context, can you remind me what Bloody Sunday was?
So, Bloody Sunday was basically a peaceful religious march from all across Russia to Tsar Nicholas's palace, basically saying, "Hey, we still want to keep Tsar Nicholas in power, but like we would like some more religious autonomy, like peace be on to Tsar Nicholas, like a whole bunch of shit that was very diplomatic." And then they were open fired on, and like many of them died by Tsar Nicholas's forces.
Okay. Well,
so
you
by
have
the
to
White Army.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or what would eventually probably become parts of it.
Yes. Well, no, actually, not by the White Army. This predates the White Army.
That's why I meant, like, what would eventually become parts of the White Army, if any of them
Well-
were Russian loyalists.
Yeah,
More
if
or
we're talking population via location, they probably would have become parts of the Red Army once the because like the White Army was mostly ruralist, and in fact, something that you would maybe know about this. Oh, go ahead.
More than just being rural, the White Army was mostly composed of Tsar Nicholas's forces that were actually fighting on the front lines at the end of the First World War.
Yes.
Because of geographic location and all that fun
Makes
stuff.
sense.
Yeah. And what you might know about this, Olzeg, is that this was one of the regions where the White Army did a lot of recruitment. Like Siberia was big for the White Army. Pretty much population centers were more Red Army, and ruralists and like veterans from the First World War were White Army.
Right, people who were fed up with the wealth disparity in Russia.
Yeah.
And you have to, there was very much a lot of, I'm not going to call it press ganging, but that kind of thing that happened. I'm going to come to your village, and I'm going to ask for all of the men to come follow me and join the Red Army.
Quote,
or
unquote,
the White
ask.
Army. Or the Green Army. Or,
Colonel Mustard's Yellow Army.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I was going to say, you've got the Reds, you've got the Whites, you've got the Greens, and you've got the Blacks.
Yep. But yeah, he kind of like after kind of dropping that whole thing about being in the like the Bloody Sunday March, he kind of like leans back and says, "Well, you're here now, and clearly you don't want to burn down my humble church." And humble's a kind of funny way to put it, because this place is pretty well made.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. He says, "Could I offer you a tour of the grounds?"
Look to the others, kind of get their opinion.
I believe we have a business to attend to. However, I would be more than happy to accompany you on a tour while my comrades attend, to other business.
Yeah, and Avanad kind of shrugs and goes, "I'm always interested."
In that case, mayhap I shall leave the two of you here. Krukov and myself, we will go and attend to our other business in town.
Suits me.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. So you guys head off, and for the folks in the church, Father Borov, is that what I named him? Good Lord. Boro. Father Boro starts walking you around and
they're boring.
says, "Well, I appreciate you coming with me to see this tour." And you're kind of going through his congregation. You see one of these blue robe fellows, the guy who actually had the offering plate, is at the very front, in front of this giant statue of this like really hideous, like man creature thing. And he's kind of like bowing towards it, and then pushes the offering tray, and then bows towards it, then pulls the offering tray, then bows toward it and pushes the offering tray, so on and so forth.
So,
And-
tell
ahead.
me about your religion.
He says, you're asking about the church. Excellent. And he has a big smile, and he says, seeing how that is my vocation and calling in life, that seems like a good place to start. And he says, the Ludyadev Church started probably at the beginning of this town in general. You see, back when this town was first founded, we were known as, well, cursed. It was obviously a very silly sort of folklore that people would come to this village and they would never leave, which holds no truth whatsoever, current circumstances withholding. But people believed that this village was watched over by a patron god, two of them, in fact, two ogres. And he points to the big statue and he says, there was Orodvir, and points to the statue, and then you notice that there's a much smaller statue in front of that statue. It's almost just like a carving in the base of it of like a female that looks pretty similar to the big statue. It says, and Grenchir. And he says, when Orovir and Grenchir were supposedly the people were supposedly the beings that flattened out the land that allowed us to build in the middle of this natural defensiveness. You see, there is forest to the south and forest to the east, and to the north and to the west there is swamp and hills, easily defended, and plentiful game is provided by the forest as well. But many people believed that because these two were the overwatchers of this village, that this village was full of people who had sold their soul. Of course, I find this to be preposterous, but all of the outlying villages, no matter how close or far, would always tell their children not to play close to this village. You see, the story goes that at one point, when the people had moved in, the village prospered for decades, avoiding Hun attacks and attacks from anyone from advances from anyone from the south or even the west. Whenever there were new colonials moving outwards trying to spread trade and religion. But there was one in the village who was unhappy with their lot. And we do not have her name. We do not know who she was or why she was. But apparently, she was not happy here. So she decided to dabble with religion from far south, and dabble with mysticism from far west and south, and ended up finding herself into a position of somewhat of a oppositional religious leader. The people started to worship her, and Orodvir and Grenchir did not like these. See, Orodvir and Grenchir were jealous. They wished to have complete control over the area. And as he's telling you this, he starts walking you around the church grounds, and you see these stained windows that kind of have these little things of like these two ogres flattening out the land, and like dropping small deer into like a forest from above and that sort of thing. And he says,
Gotcha.
yeah, and he says, the true strangeness happened, however, when this woman decided to traipse within the territory of Orodvir and Grenchir. She went out into the swamps where the ogres were said to live. And he points to a big stained glass window with a like a swamp there, and a hooded figure walking into it. And he says, "This is the start of this town's worry with the Vecna." And we're gonna cut off there, and we're going to go over to Krikov and Olzeg. What are you guys? Where are you guys going?
To the mansion.
All right. You guys start to head up to the mansion, and it is an unusually cold and blustery day. I mean, at this point, it's only about maybe 7 in the morning, but it's still very cold for this. You can feel the hot water bladders that you have cooling even as you touch them. And we will get you on.
Keep yourself bundled up, Krikov, but remember to leave enough room for your skin to breathe. I'm afraid sweating today might be a last mistake.
I agree.
Yeah. And you guys approach the mansion grounds. I'll throw you here. And you come up to this big manor that seems to have this like almost unearthly level of ornamentation to it. All of the sidings are like jig carved, right? So they all have these tiny little ornamentations, and like the big entryway, the door seems to have 2 big carvings of an ogre on either side. And yeah, do you just go through the gate to the front door?
But Olzek probably like, kind of does one of those like side spits at all of this like ostentatious bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, Krukov, we could either go through the front gate or we could try and survey the perimeter of the wall and see if we cannot find easier access.
Further evaluation could yield better results, but unsure. Only reckoning with half information is unsatisfactory in many situations.
Then we will go for a short stroll around the walls. Try and keep close to the walls. Perhaps that will help against the wind.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. So yeah, you guys walk around the walls, and there are these great big stone walls that seem to be made of incredibly solid construction. And at the top of them are barbed tip wrought iron, facing inward. But yeah, you walk around, and you don't really see any particular like weak points. However,
Can we use a spot hidden to look for like, not necessarily weak points, but like any passageways or things that look like they could be? You kind of get what I'm going at?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Go ahead and do a spot hidden. It'll need to be an extreme success, though.
Wah wah.
Wah, wah.
I mean, I could use all of my luck to make it an extreme success,
Yeah,
but I'm not gonna.
that's a good idea. Krikov, would you like to make a spot hidden?
I think he died.
No, he didn't. He did fail, though.
I didn't. I forgot to mark the spot hidden I did from earlier.
Yeah.
Or no, was it medicine? No,
It was first aid that you
aid.
made. Yeah.
Did I just spot hidden earlier?
You did, and you succeeded.
I did, and I succeeded.
Yes.
I'm so fucking
Yeah.
good at this.
So you guys walk around and you don't see anything, but you do notice that it butts up against the forest pretty hard. And in the forest, you see a lot of game. Like you see foxes and all sorts of birds that don't seem to be native to the area, Olzeg.
Mhm.
And like big fat deer. It seems to be teeming with wildlife.
Probably imported.
Which is highly illegal, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. This would be part of. You don't even need the law check because I know you're good enough at law with this character. Like once the party lines got drawn and the red army succeeded, right? Pretty much anything that had to do with the aristocracy was like outlawed immediately. You know.
Yeah.
Including importation of exotic animals.
Yeah, so this guy did an oopsie poopsie.
Uh-huh.
He gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
Time to kill him.
But you walk all the way around the area and find yourself back at the front gate.
Well, other than further making me disgusted at his level of depravity, I see no other way but the front gate, loath as I am to take it.
Yeah. Okay.
Shall we?
Yeah. You enter the front gate, which is open, which is surprising. Because most places like this have a solid fuck you policy.
Quite.
Yeah. But you go up to the front door, and before you are two great big silver knockers.
Oh, you're saying there's big tits in front of us.
I do love big knockers.
Door knockers, you fucking children.
We did funny. Does it look like anyone's home?
You can't really tell. The place is huge.
Well, I don't know if we want to go knocking on heaven's door in this case.
Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door.
Fuck it. Yeah, let's knock.
Okay. You knock.
Why don't you just breach and clear?
Because there's only two of us and God knows how many people in there.
Clear.
And they're armed.
Probably. I don't trust it.
Um,
It's a little sus, bro.
Hey,
Yeah.
brother, we can kick names and take ass, all right?
Hell yeah. So yeah, you knock on the door. And it takes a couple seconds, but the great big door slowly opens. And by great big, I mean it's 2 Olzegs tall.
You mean
No,
Krikovs?
fuck, it's 2 Krikovs tall, yeah. And yeah, no, it's a big fucking door. And the door opens, and you see an old man in a very old style servant's garb. Kind of like if you saw like somebody in like a very frilly 1800s tuxedo right now. It's a similar sort of thing.
1700s kind of get up.
Yeah, exactly. And he says, he's, hello, we were not expecting guests. May I ask who is here so I can speak to the owner of the house?
Here's the thing: do we tell who we really are, or do we think of a fib? Though we probably can't because we're wearing fucking uniforms.
Yeah.
So.
What very uniform.
Health inspectors, I'm here to test the quality of your water.
Hey.
We're Dagger and Gilded Hands Pizza Delivery Service.
Is this cave number 2?
The fact that worked still makes me happy.
Natural 20s for the win.
But,
Hell yeah.
I am Junior Lieutenant Oleg Malganovich of the KGB, and this is Krikar Vitamir Akubov, one of the members of my Olde. We are stuck here in the town for now, and we are trying to make ourselves known to the populace.
He says, he takes a look on his face for a second and says, right, or right? No, he says, right, give me one moment, please. And he like opens the door a little bit more, and he's like this old, feeble man. And you see inside, big, warm sitting area with 2 couches, and like a table with a crystal decanter on it filled with a brown liquid, a big warm hearth. And he says, please have a seat while I speak to the master of the house.
I will have a seat while he speaks to the master of the house.
Yeah.
I also will see while he speaks to the master of the house.
Yeah, you see him nod at you guys and goes and walks down a hallway, kind of shuffling. And he's gone for about 10 minutes. Do you guys do anything in those 10 minutes?
Just kind of look around. I don't want to come off like I'm just saying shit to say shit, but can I roll a spot hidden to see if there's any weird, like, the shit you find in mansions?
Sure. You see that the walls are covered in, like, all sorts of wealth. In fact, you have a keen eye for fineries, being a KGB man. You know what you're supposed to have and not supposed to have. This motherfucker has an actual Fabergé egg.
Yeah.
Oh, look! Oliver Twist is hiding in the dumbwaiter.
This guy definitely shouldn't have any of that.
Yeah. And there's all sorts of other fineries. You smell the decanter, and it's clearly some sort of brandy. Like, he's got all sorts of, like, illegal imports in here.
Yeah, I start pointing to places, and I'm like, France, Turkey, Morocco, America.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And there's, like, you notice that a lot of the stuff on his walls seems to be of some sort of iconographic importance, like old religious artifact. That, and there is one other thing that surprises you. There is a painting of a very familiar figure to anyone in Russia at this time, because he has made his way into folklore and legend, and it is a huge painting. Can you guess who the figure is?
Russian folklore, huh?
I'll give you a hint. Yep.
God, Rasputin.
There's a huge painting that looks like it's been done by a very talented artist of Rasputin on the wall with two sconces right beside it.
The Russian queen.
But yeah. So you guys are waiting in there, and you have just enough time to take in this portrait that you notice when you see coming down the hallway two great big lynxes. And we're going to cut back to the church.
And now this is when we start pulling out the guns.
So back at the church, Father Boro says, "So, do you have any questions at this moment so far?"
Yes. How long have you been here, Father?
I was raised in this town. You would say that this is my calling.
And yet you have found time to move to Moscow? To take part in the Bloody Sunday?
Well, you must understand. At this point, there was pressure on all sides of religion to try and see if we could eke out better standards for ourselves. I left here on a sabbatical. This was not a permanent move by any slight chance. And at that point, my father was also still alive. So it wasn't as if the church was left completely completely rudderless.
So you were told to come here on sabbatical?
No, I left on sabbatical because I believed in the cause. These people simply wanted to make a pilgrimage to appeal to power that our peaceful institutions may flourish yet under oppression.
And you decided to return because...
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, pastors with many holes in them do not make good leaders for congregations.
So you came back of your own volition?
Correct. The violence started, and I must say, for my own sake of preservation, and he kind of like looks up at the sky and makes a little like cross motion on his chest. I fled. It was the only thing I could do to ensure that this congregation would live on.
For what it is worth, comrade, it is a pity that what happened had to happen.
He solemnly nods his head and says, "Sometimes there are sacrifices that must be made for one to continue their heritage. This was one that left a footprint on the national scale."
Yes. And hopefully one for the better.
He nods and he says, "To be perfectly honest, with the way that the party is handling religion, I fear that the next contingent of your men that come out will be ones looking for my church specifically."
Looking at Avanad.
Yeah, and Avanad is totally like nodding along, like he's just very like, yeah, I get it. You know, he's taking a back seat, but you can see that like at least in this piece of politics, he's thoroughly agreeing with this guy.
Well, and that's where, for all of our sakes, I hope we do not lose our minds so much that happens.
And he nods and says, yes. The violence, of course, runs all the way back to the very beginning of history, before even Cain and Abel, before anything, before the light, back when wild and old creatures ruled these lands, back before these were even lands. The times of peace are only myths that are perpetrated by men who are far too comfortable in their own station. The only thing we can hope to do is to mitigate and to protect. There is no stopping.
Well, with what is happening between, well, my command and the rest of the world, there may be peace in our time yet.
He kind of scans you up and down and says, and he says, I don't think that I have even caught your name. What is your name?
Looking at Avanad.
Avanad, like, casually says, my name is Avanad Constantine.
Sorry, hold on. I'm trying to think of a name. Fuck.
Yeah.
Ah. And I am Brezhnev. Brezhnev.
Brezhnev.
Yes.
He kind of seems to ponder for a moment and says, Mr. Brezhnev, are you a religious man yourself?
Once upon a time, when I was young and foolish.
Says, once upon a time we were all young and foolish. Some of us drop the foolish, some of us drop the young. And he kind of smiles and says, this town is held together, I would say, on carpenter's tax, poor horse glue, and faith. And to be one of the three things that holds this town together brings me great pride.
I have a question for you.
Yes, how can I help you?
Have people acted strangely this past year and a half? Either doing things that earlier they would have never have thought of doing, or alternately remembering things that they should never remember in the first place.
He thinks for a second and says, well, ever since Boris Lubitschek decided to make his venture into the marsh, things obviously, and he kind of points off towards the nearest direction of the fog, have made themselves strange.
Lubitschek is an interesting name, comrade.
Yeah, and you remember Lubitschek. He was the gasworks guy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Rings bell. You said he made his way into Marsh?
Yes. You see, back whenever the ogres and the Vedna were in their territory, there were great fights between them. Great storms would come over the town. People would go missing. There were great instances of violence. There are no first-hand accounts, of course, but it is written in the town's logs that even 100 people or 200 people might go missing from surrounding regions. It is why we are a fairly isolated village. But one day a peace accord was made. A peace accord between Grenashir and the Vecna. However, the Vecna decided to go back on her will. Grenadier said that she would hold herself amongst the marsh and serve as caretaker for the Vecna. However, one day someone or something went into the marsh, and Grenadier was no more. Ordvir went into the marsh to try and find his beloved. And what he found instead was the body of his beloved, used like a puppet by the witch. He became so furious that he tried to lash out at the witch, but the witch, being of so many different origins and of many different studies, had already known the way to counter this ogre and buried him beneath the marsh. However, it is said that in his final words and final will, he imparted a blessing upon this village, that those true born of Severovo would come to no harm and no means, and those of the outside who wished to cause harm to Severovo would befall a great curse, something that could tear asunder even the strongest of men. Many think that the witch took this curse and perverted it, corrupted it, and turned it into something far worse. For as Oravir's sleeping body lies deep under the marsh, his veins providing us hot springs, his muscles moving the ground and keeping everything fertile, his mouth taking in everything that would seek to hurt the people of the village. It seems a blasphemer's curse has been put on even the holiest of sites of this village. And Lubitschek decided that he would want to explore this for his own. Some might call it a young man's folly. Some might call it a skeptic's oversight. But he went into the swamp. And when he came back different. Didn't act himself. And of course, that is also when the fog rolled in. Since then, we have been dealing with all of these issues. Many people may say that Lubitschek's soul will not rest, but I have hope for him. I hope he found his way to repent in the end. For the man whose lung empties of breath, as if holes were pierced, must draw breath from somewhere, no, Mr. Beshinko? And he looks you directly in the eye.
You have a good day.
Yeah, do you just leave?
You are going to tell me how you know my name.
Word travels far in a town as small as this. I do not begrudge you for lying to me, though.
Then why did you ask my name? My patience grows thin.
I wanted to see the measure of the man that I was speaking to.
Never give a man more than he asks, and if he asks, give him less.
He nods and says, I understand, and like I said, I offer you no hostility for your trepidation.
We will decide that later.
He says,
Somehow I have a feeling we will meet again.
He smiles at you as if he hasn't a care in the world and says, Right, understood. I hope to see you next Sunday. And, he just says that.
Fuck you and being calm with this asshole.
Shoot him! Shoot him!
You are in the middle of his church with several of his followers around.
So? They'd run.
They might.
Or I'd just have to line up and shoot every single one of them.
You have 6 rounds in that gun.
Yeah, that gun. I've also got a revolver.
I've got 2 rats. That should
True.
be enough for all of you.
True. So there's 30 of them, and you have 12 rounds.
It sounds like that's how many bottles you just knocked over.
Yeah. Don't
Have
judge.
you ever heard Chuck Norris killed... How does that go? Chuck Norris kills 50 people with grenade, then grenade explodes?
Ha, that's good.
If I have to rifle bash every fucking one of them, I would.
No,
But now is not the time or the place.
It goes, Chuck Norris killed 50 people with a grenade. Then he pulled the pin.
Yeah. Avanad kind of like standing is like, comrade, maybe it is time that we should head
He's
out.
already. Yeah, I was gonna say he's already leaving.
Yeah, and as you're leaving, almost at like the perfect moment of you touching the door, he says, "Oh, and comrade, remember, don't travel where boogeymen may lie. They may seem like fiction until you lie between their teeth." And he goes back to his duties.
This man knows more than he is letting on.
And with that, we will cut back to the manor. At first, you are incredibly startled by two perfectly white-furred, pink-eyed lynxes seeming to leap out of the hallway. But you notice something. There's a beautiful, scantily clad woman holding them on a leash behind them. And she says, "No, no, no. These are friends. They are not your next meal." And she like really roughly yanks on the leash, and both of them pull back and kind of like walk in front of her in like that cross line where they both don't break eye contact and just kind of hiss. And this woman says, "You must be the army men who have recently come to town, no?"
Yeah. Olseg, like, after that initial surprise is worn away, just kind of, like, sits back in his chair, very unimpressed by this display. And is like, indeed, members of both the Red Army and the KGB.
She looks at you and says, "Pleasure to meet you. And who is this tall, strapping example of a soldier beside you?"
Oh fuck.
I cut a quick, like, side glance to Krukov that's like, if you buy a fucking word of what this woman's going on about, we're both in big trouble.
Hello, ma'am.
Says
Hi.
she says, "Ah, hello, ma'am, is such a very interesting name. I've never heard that one before." And shoots you like a very sly grin. "My pleasantries, I suppose I should get out of the way. I am Svetlana Korosek. I am the wife of Vinko."
Has Vinko always been a collector of such finery?
"Oh, yes. Believe it or not, from all around the world, the man samples such wonderful cultures." And she's saying all of this very casually, as these lynxes are still doing the back and forth walk, staring at you guys.
Are they that hungry? I would think that animals belonging to a man so well off would be more well fed than anyone in the town.
She smiles and says, it is early yet. Only 8 o'clock, and I wouldn't want my babies to get fat, now would I?" And she starts petting both of them, and they both just start like purring like motors.
My commanding officer is scarier than them.
She looks up with a glint in her eye and says, I could see that," and looks at your peppered face, Olzeg, says, "Rough and rugged. Were you a victim of the gas attacks?"
He nods. During the war, I was part of the Legion of the Dead.
She nods and says, "I understand. My father happened to be in that group as well. He did not make it out."
Very few did, but we did what we could for Mother Russia.
She stands up and says, "Funny. mother, Rasha. We always assume a feminine bent, and I think that's fair. You see, we are like a mother bear, ready to strike and tear out the throats of anyone who would hurt our cubs, no?
Did she say we?
Yeah?
We? You would put yourself on the same level as an entire country, madam.
She says, no man is an island, but that does not preclude women, my friend. Now, you are looking to meet my husband, of course. I'm sorry, I'm quite the socialite. And she has this grin that you can tell there's just something behind it. She says, if you'll follow me, I can show you to my sweet Vinko.
Kind of stand up, but give a look to Krukov. And just kind of like... I'm trying to figure out how we would signal to be like, yeah, have some of that explosive ready. Just in
I'm
case.
sure you have, like, signals for that.
Yeah, it's probably like reaching up, like
Cuckoo.
scratching at my nose while looking at his, you know, the pack that he has his, dynamite and nitroglycerin in.
Yeah. Yeah. So she leads you down this hallway to where you hear violin music playing. And you keep going down this hallway until you find yourself at a great hall. This hall has a table in the middle of it, and it also has several seats around the table that are all very opulent, fit for kings or at least dukes. And at the very end of this table, sitting there, eating some sort of roast, you see a decrepit old man. He's like bald with small wisps of hair. The front of his eyes are glazed over. He is trembling as he brings bites to his mouth. You
Oh
hear this.
shit, she a gold digger.
And you hear this woman, and you also see beside him playing the violin, this other scantily clad woman, who is playing the violin, right? With kind of like a gentle smile on her face, and sitting like kind of on his lap is another woman who has black hair, who looks just absolutely bored. And Svetlana says, "Oh, Vinko, you have guests. It is they are not solicitors. They are men from the..." And she like looks at you guys, and then looks back at him, "From the government at large." And she kind of like looks at you guys and gives you like a little bit of a like, bear with me kind of signal. And he looks up and he says, "What? There are men from outside?"
I was not here, but I wanted to say, oh, I understand why she's bored. They hadn't invented blue pills yet.
But yeah,
Not yet.
yes,
soon.
Vinko, yes, there are men here to see you. And she kind of goes aside and kind of says, "He is very old. Speak your piece whenever you wish. And I would recommend not taking too long. He does not have the greatest of faculties."
Yes. Good evening, sir. No, it's morning still.
Yeah.
Yeah, good morning. I am Olzig Malganovich of the State Protection Bureau, and this is my subordinate, Krikov Vitamir Akidod of the People's Liberation Army.
He looks up and says, "People's Liberation Army. Is that a new regiment?
It is a more formal name for the Red Army, the standing army of the glorious Soviet Union.
He looks at you, just confused, and says, "Whatever you wish to speak to me, go ahead. Your collegiate matters are most likely under my purview."
Well, we originally were sent here with an Olde group in order to look for potential recruits here in Siberia for coming war with Poland. But we have since been unable to make any progress, so to say. So we have decided to speak with you since you are the mayor of this place.
He says, "War with Poland? The recruits? What has the Tsar gotten himself into?"
I definitely look but to like Krukov and then to the woman like, what the fuck?
And she just like gives you like this look of just like, I know, like that sort of look. You know what I mean? And he also, like, as you're kind of processing this, he goes, "And for the record, there is no mayor here. I am the lordling of this area, given rights by my father and the father before him, and given rights by the Tsar himself." And he points towards like a framed piece of paper with a shaky finger that's like kind of on the wall behind him. And it's about this time you start to notice his surroundings. You see a lot of very strange iconography all around him. And like you see objects of science just as much as objects of religion. And you notice that the chandelier he has above his table is actually a great big gyroscope.
Huh. I don't, never in my, like, kind of under his breath more to the other two. Never in my life did I think I would speak with a boyar in Soviet Russia.
And he says, "Well, you are here now. I assume you are coming here for reinforcements or storage of food or quartering. I have much food for you and your troop. How many strong and how many horses carry you?"
We arrived not on horses, but on automobiles, trucks.
He kind of looks up at you and he says, "You've finally found a way to weaponize these mechanical headaches? I have an automobile in my foyer. Never could get the thing to work properly."
Such is Russian ingenuity.
He kind of smiles and says, "Damned right. By the grace of God, we fought back the Huns, we fought back the Ming, and we will fight back anyone else who comes towards us."
Oh god, how old is this fucker?
Yeah, that does make me think, this guy's been around for a long time. This guy's probably from, like, the Great Rus days.
Okay, so, crazy-ass theory here. She's feeding on his... all three of them are feeding on his life force. They're actually a coven because they're hags.
I love that theory. That's a good theory.
That means it's right.
No, not necessarily. But he did give me a good idea. But now that it's been said out loud, it can't be part of the adaptive fiction, sadly.
Damn. But, yeah, that still doesn't mean he's not potentially from, the past.
Yeah.
Uh,
Make
gotta
me, by the way, just like a history or culture check, just base 20 check.
Alright. So just 1d100.
Yeah. Um.
I don't know what Huns are.
Yeah. No, you definitely don't.
You've never heard of the word Ming either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the
Chinese or Japanese?
Actually, you know what? Go ahead. I guess this would be an education roll.
Okay, I can do that much better.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Me do better. Me
Krieghoff,
do better.
You can make an education roll as well if you like. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, you passed your education. Yeah, you notice behind him there are two great big banners, and you hadn't really taken a look at what they were because the room itself is something to take in as a whole before you can even start to dissect it. You know, those kind of places.
Mm-hmm.
But these two big banners happen to have these two big banners happen to have a bear or two bears around a throne with 4 fish underneath and a candelabra of 3 candles above. You recognize this as the coat of arms of the nation of Novgorod.
Ah, I was a little too far back, but this is Novgorod.
Never heard of Novgorod.
Novgorod was one of the first proto-Russian civilizations.
So Prussia, more or less.
Older.
that's
But
this
what I'm
would've
talking
been
about,
like-
it's an analogy.
Yeah, this would have been like 800-900.
This would have been like the same era as like what, the Visigoths?
Well,
Yeah.
so you said 800-900.
Well, yeah. I
So
get that
about
in the
400
Great
years
Rus and stuff.
after the fall of Rome.
Yeah, this is definitely like before the High Middle Ages we're talking about. So before the year 1000.
Yeah.
He's old. But,
Ask him who the current czar is.
that actually might be...
Give Mike a heart attack.
Who is the Tsar to whom you speak?
He says, "Of course, Tsar Alexei the First, are you not impudent?"
Hold on, is that the current? Well, was that the last
No,
czar?
that would have been Tsar Nicholas II. He did have his son named Alexei, who would have been Tsar after him if he hadn't gotten shot.
Tsar Alexei, make me an education check.
Ooh.
Nice. So you notice that Tsar Alexei was in the 1600s.
What year is it, do you believe?
He stares directly at you and he says, "Boy, I have no times for questions upon my potency as a ruler or as a man. Come and speak to me of which you wish, or speak not at all." And
Fuck,
he's
that
like
just makes me wanna
violently
go.
vibrating at this point.
That just makes me want to go, yo, it's like 1939,
Yeah.
and there are no more czars.
Yeah.
But part of me thinks that might give him a fucking heart attack.
I mean, then the Coven has no powers over him.
Actually, yeah, I kind of get a very angry look on my face at that kind of look over at her with a look that's like, this fucker, I'm about to say something.
she says, my lord, my husband, my sweet Vinko. He did not mean any disrespect. He was simply questioning to make sure that his calendars were properly aligned. They've been on the road for a long time.
I'm sorry. That's how we align our calendars.
Yeah,
What
Part of me
czar
still
is-
wants to
are
say,
we on?
yeah, according to my calendar. Actually, yeah, he probably does. He's like, yes, according to my calendar, it is 1939.
He looks at you and just kind of like, it is 1939.
What?
Yeah.
No. Are you serious?
He says, yeah, he
It's
says,
1939.
yeah, he
Oh,
says
yes,
it.
that's right. This czar has just been the czar for the past 300 years, apparently.
Whatever. We'll fucking come back at a later date and get to be like, yo, my boy, Soviet Union, get with communism.
I'll tell you what they did to the last czar, Tsar Nicholas.
Yeah,
First, they
We will tell
dragged
you what
him
they
through
did
the
to Tsar
streets.
Nicholas the First.
It is so bad that we have a name for it. We call it the Nicholas basement treatment.
In the KGB, we call it, ooh. Even we are like, ooh.
Yeah.
Shooting them and then finding out the women live because of jewels they were carrying. And then shooting them some more.
Mm-hmm.
Callous. We like it. He's good.
He says, so my young Olseg friend, you seem to be a strapping general or commander. What can I provide for you for the glory of Russia?
I'm shocked he didn't say for the glory of Novgorod.
Yeah.
But, my men and I are simply wishing to make ourselves known to the people of import in this village.
And it's the first time that the woman sitting on his lap speaks up. She takes a swig of like this red wine, drinks it all down,
That ain't red
sets it on
wine.
the table. Huh?
That's not red wine.
It's the old man's blood, obviously.
But yeah, she drinks this red
Vampires.
wine, sets it on the table, and says, well, you are known. Goodbye.
Part of me wants to say, wasn't talking to you, bitch.
Can we switch? Can we switch? Because I think that Anatoly would have a lot of fun with these ladies.
Yeah, Olseg's getting close to the point where he's about to take his own advice to Anatoly from the out of character space and just shoot somebody.
Yeah. But yeah, at this point, Svetlana just kind of like looks at her. Svetlana looks at her and is like, Nastya, no, that is incredibly rude. We have guests. Is this how you treat guests? And Nastya says, of course, this is how we always treat guests. By giving them the bare minimum. It is not as if the old man cares. And it's not even like this dude. He doesn't even seem to react to this. And the violin music stops. And the one who's playing the violin says, this is very rude, and I would prefer if we did not treat our guests like this.
Yep, it's a coven. It's a coven.
Yeah, and she's like, gentlemen, I am so very sorry for Nastya's treatment of you.
Nasty's nasty treatment.
Yeah, and she looks at you and says, are any of you fans of the equestrian?
Horseman? The last time I saw a horseman was on the battlefield.
She says, well, when you're on this estate, it is more than pleasurable to find a horse and go hunt in the woods. We have a wonderful stretch of woods, and I'm sure my sweet Vinko, and just like kind of rubs her hand on his face, and his eyes kind of like roll back. It's kind of gross.
Okay, she knows what the fuck is going on here. We need to kidnap her.
Yeah, and says, "Wouldn't mind if you were to hunt a little bit of game in the woods out back, would you?" He kind of just like, "Of course not. Any friend of the nation is a friend of mine."
Yes. Be that as it may, I think we will graciously... We will graciously have to... I'm trying... What's the polite word of saying fuck no?
I have
Decline?
to graciously,
graciously decline this offer for now.
I am disinclined to acquiesce your request.
She kind of puts on like a pouty face and says, too bad. It would have been wonderful to go hunting. I haven't gotten to ride in ages. And
As a word of adloquium, there are more men within my entourage from from St. Petersburg who would be more than happy to speak with you. Perhaps they are more willing than I.
You're signing Anatoly up for murder.
yeah, she says, are you
I am
trying?
simply too old and worn from my time in the Great War.
She says, are you trying to proposition me on behalf of my men, or proposition your men on behalf of me? For I am happily taken. And like points towards Vinko.
No, the man that I wish for you to meet is a much better shot than me to begin with.
This is actually true.
Yeah. She says, of course. I kid. There is no point in living life without some sort of levity. No. And she has this smile, and Nastia just says, I grow tired of this. Are we done here?
I so want to be like, well, if you're tired, go to Petty by Junction. We have said our piece, I believe. Yes, Krykov?
Gary?
Oh, Gary died. Well, I guess I'll drag his corpse out with me.
Yeah. And as a goodbye, Vinko looks up at you and says, in the name of the Milojovic family, please teach those Poles a lesson again. We've beat them once back, and we shall do another. And like at this point, like Nastia, like he like
nap
lifts
time, Grandpa.
like holds his like arm down, like brings it down. It's like shh, it is okay, Vinko.
Yeah, I almost said something like you can see that Olds like almost says something that's like, you know, for the glory of the Soviet Union, but is like, oh wait.
Yeah. And yeah, you guys exit. So, do all of you have a meetup place? Like, did you set up like a hey, we'll all meet up here sort of thing?
I imagine we'd meet back at the bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the
Back
inn.
at the common house. Hell yeah. All right. So you guys all walk in. I assume the guys who were at the church come in first.
Yeah.
But you see Krykov and Krykov and Olzeg walk in. And you also, whenever you entered Anatoly, you noticed that Raphael was at the bar drinking
Sure.
and like spinning tales.
I give him like a long stare because he was acting fucking weird.
Gives you a sheepish grin and then raises his bottle to you and then goes back to talking to the people that he was like talking to. But yeah, you guys come in. What do you guys do?
I do not understand the people here. Everyone acts like they know more than they're letting on. I would relay probably what was told to me by the pastor, the father.
You should have met with Vinko. The
No,
man
Vinko.
is senile beyond words. He still believes himself part of the kingdom of Novgorod.
Novgorod. That is. Are you
Hundreds
serious?
of years old. He believes that Alexei the First is somehow still Tsar. He believes
But this-
there are Tsars.
What year does he think it is?
Believes we are still in the 16th century.
I thought he told you guys it
Oh.
was 1939.
After I said it, he kind of was like, "Oh yeah, sure it is."
Oh, okay. That is a problem. The pastor knows far more than he's willing to admit, and he's keeping tabs on us.
I would not be surprised if everyone in this town was beginning to believe that there is something very, very rotten in the kingdom of Novgorod.
Novgorod.
I
I want to speak with this pastor again, privately. He's going to gloat behind, well, honeyed words and smirks, knowing that, he has upper hand. I'd like to make him believe otherwise.
Much as I would like, well, the revolution might have missed this town for now, but I would love nothing more than to make sure that it is brought here.
Yeah, and as you guys are kind of talking, Sunsika walks into the bar. She was curiously missing from serving, and an older woman was actually serving you. A very old woman, actually. Sunsika walks in with just like tears in her eyes and like walks up to the bar where her father and Raphael are kind of like talking, and she like sits down, and then a couple moments later you hear what, and like immediately, like, you didn't think this heavyset bartender could hop a bar and move this fast, but god damn it if he does, and just bursts out the front door.
I will go attend to that if you go attend to Sunsika.
Nah,
Figure out what is going on. I will make sure he tries not to kill anyone.
unless they are someone we want to have killed.
In
Given
which
this
case I will
look-
stand idly by.
Good. Mayhap you would have made good KGB agent.
Have a nod. You come with me, yes?
Yeah. So you guys head out of the bar, and you notice that there's a small crowd around the courthouse. And you get out to the front of the courthouse, and you see that there's someone hanging at the courthouse.
Who is it?
It's not until you get a little bit closer and push through the crowd that you notice the person hanging is Bojana Zazbo, the town sheriff. And on him, there is a note written on the typing paper that he has. And the note simply says, Malice. And we'll cut here.
Well, fuck.
So, that was today's episode. Let's get some sign-offs. Hey, Gary, are you back yet?
Gary's abandoned us in our time of need.
Oh boy. Oh, not Gary. Okay, so we will skip Gary and we will instead go to Anatoly Bashenko.
All right. People in this town have got to start getting shit straight real quick. Otherwise, I'm not sure I can keep my finger off the trigger. Okay? Okay? Okay?
That's not
'Cause
okay.
No, it's not. It fucking isn't, and that's what pisses me off about it.
This is not okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Pisses me off. All right. Yep. You just saw me playing Anatoly Bashenko, the confused, frustrated, and downright angry cook who might start turning people into stew if they don't start giving us answers real damn fast. You can also find me on well, let's see. Sunday's the next one coming up that I can think of, where I'm going to be running Tales from the Cosmos. Wow, I said Tales from the Cosmos. What I meant to say was Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop. Welcome back, Cowboy. Where our group of I wouldn't call them space pirates, but our group of cowboys are hot on the trail of 3 dudes in a white van, or rather 3 white vans carrying some dudes. Either way, maybe they should start looking for missing puppies and figure out from there, right? You can also find me on, let's see here, Monday, where I'll be playing Twinkle Bailey, the isekai who is just someone decided to fuck with our security system, and they're gonna pay for it.
True.
Yeah, Merch, keep talking.
True.
You may not be guilty of this, but you're guilty of some shit.
Most
Whatever
shit.
could you mean?
Hey, there is no court of law here. I don't have to prove shit.
Yeah, we're space pirates.
Hey, there's no court of law here. I'm not guilty of shit if there's no laws of shit.
There are the laws of Captain, and if Captain agrees you broke those laws...
In the words of Tenacious D, you broke the rules. Now I'll pull out all your pubic hair.
What?
I don't think that's what Tenacious Dickhead said.
You motherfucker. Anyway, continue.
Yes, you can also find me on Tuesday, where I'm playing Drifter, the little old lady who loves nothing more than to run people over with her truck. Sorry, brain fart. And then that's actually it.
All right. Excellent. And we move on to Olzeg Malganovich.
Hi ho, friendolas. My name is James, otherwise known as Nightheart. You caught me here today playing, indeed, Olzeg Malganovich, the KGB agent who's about to fucking bring the party. Whoa. If we have to keep dealing with old people who think that it's 1600, well, we're gonna fucking party like it's 1848. Nothing? Not even from the other history person? Alright.
That was good. No, I agree. That was
You're
good.
gonna have to remind me what happened in 1848.
The revolutions of 1848. Where basically everyone was like, hey, fuck rich people!
You know, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one, Chief. My Russian history's a little sketch.
It was Russia, Germany, Italy, France. Everyone went fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, gonna have to get back to you on that one, Chief.
But, you can also find me here on Sundays in Almost Said It Too. But for our intermission, until we get back to regularly scheduled, Pulvarying, we will be doing some Cowboy Bebop, where I play Shou Liang, the... What would I even call him? The theoretical physicist turned con man realty business person who...
I would just say...
Motherfucker.
I would just say con man revealing his true fucking colors.
Who's just kind of
He has
riding
a-
this by the seat of his pants.
How many theoretical degrees does he have in addition to his actual degree?
I guess 6, because I have 6 skills.
But, 6 theoretical degrees.
Yeah, God, I should have named him Scott Brown! Fuck!
We can steal Seth Skorkowski's bits in private games, but I don't feel comfortable doing that
We've
on
already
me.
got someone who's stealing the my butthole! comic.
Wait, what?
We'll link it to you afterwards.
Look in Cosmos. It's all there in Cosmos.
It's all there in Cosmos. Okay,
That's
okay.
where Tony gets his name from. But anyway, you can also find me on Mondays as part of the crew of the Fire Strike, where I play Severovo Silverchild, who might as well be called S because he's pretty much L, except hopefully he doesn't get Death Notated in the Death Note book. I just am against that death notion.
Mm-hmm.
And my overly long outro out of the way, that's me.
All right.
Also, Mike, while you were gone, I was the one who did Naughty Nina's Porn Emporium music.
Oh, motherfucker. I missed one session, and I missed my Naughty Nina's.
Naughty Nina's.
Ding, ding. Okay. So, let's get you guys a post-credit scene.
What if I don't want one?
Too bad. It's the courthouse. We see Zazbo over his typewriter, typing, putting out some sort of just page of incoherent words. And we hear footsteps walk towards, the door opens, and Zazbo, seeming to immediately panic, rips out a sheet of paper as the steps go towards him, and he hastily feeds a new one in and clicks and clacks on the paper a few times until he stops slowly. And we catch a glimpse of the figure's feet. Familiar. Hooves, then a suit with feet, then high heels and a dress, then panther's paws. Well, well, well. I suppose that I should have expected something to fall through the cracks. You did it. You made it. You, Mr. First Batch Original. How did you find your way here? And Zazbo does not respond. At this point, he is raised to his feet and is standing stock still with his arms to his side. Now, I appreciate and admire your gumption. I really do. It's a lot of work. I really don't even know where to begin with asking you how you did it. But I just don't think I care enough about your opinion on it. So here's how this goes. Tomorrow, a few pieces will be set into motion, and then I'll let you know. This is no place for an errant actor, and you know what you are. Isn't that right, Zazbo? And the stock still Zazbo just slowly nods its head up and down. Right. Well, I have more important things to tend to. I have already done what I've needed to do here. And as you can tell, Severovo has a lot, and I mean a lot, of work to do. Things are not happening in the ordered progression they're supposed to, and I can't have that. You know, it's funny. Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to a brick wall, some sort of monologue of sorts. But I mean, there's got to be something in there. There's some kind of light in those eyes. Well, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done playing with my food. Do what you got to do tomorrow. We'll see about maybe seeing if you have another place in here. Because honestly, again, top marks. Impressed. Not what you're supposed to do, but you did it anyway. Well, Zazbo, I'll see you later. And cut. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike, also known as Win 5, Get 1 Free, and you have caught me today running Projekt Severovo. The game in a small Russian town where everybody knows a little bit more than they say that they know, and nobody knows the full picture. Especially not our players yet. You can also catch me on Mondays where I play Matthias Merch Dishborg, the lovable little radish man who has an agenda that he's fucking on. Missed last week this week because I was sick. I am still recovering. My apologies. I will be there next week. You can also catch us on YouTube if you are currently watching Twitch at youtube.com/Paradise Theater. Because listen, if you're watching on Twitch right now, we love you. We love you so much, and we're so glad you're watching. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, we love you. We love you so much, and we're glad that you're watching. But if you want to feel that love in person, can you feel the love tonight? Then you can watch us at twitch.tv/para_o_dice_theater. And if you want to feel that love at all hours of the day, where I do be kind of memeing on our account, though, then you can catch us on Twitter at Pair Theater for some updates, some scheduling, and some hot memes. You can catch me on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/thathoon, all caps, THATHOON, and that is all that I have got. So, on behalf of all of us from Paradise Theater, let's get an RIP Zazbo and get the fuck out of here.
R.I.P.